Hello. Today I'm going to talk about special education teachers, specifically the role of a special education teacher, the dispositions that they must possess, and the effects that any bias that they bring into the classroom has on students and the classroom as a whole. Specifically, I'll start with my dispositions. So, being a special education teacher, you must be committed to the students. I am committed to teaching, to expanding the students' knowledge, and to understanding each individual student that we have. No students are the same. Everyone has their unique abilities and their uniqueness that aren't disabilities, but they're just different abilities. And to be able to teach to these students, you have to be able to go back and forth for the good of the group and the good of the single student. You need to know how they can learn and what avenues they need help in. So it's very important that a teacher understands the students that they're teaching to. They need to be able to look at the group as a whole, but also the individual student, and teach to the student as well as the group. Students in special education have 1, 2, 3, 100 different things that to take into consideration. And a good teacher needs to be able to assess these and apply teaching methods that are proven methods to teach the students, to help them learn. But they also have to realize that they're children and they need direction and guidance, but also the ability and freedom to be themselves. And that's sometimes hard in a class when you have 20, 30 children and everybody has different ideas. So management, class management, time management, and individual management you must have. I possess those skills. They didn't come overnight. They came for about 25 years of working in the medical field, working with patients, and then going on to teaching in the medical field and realizing that the groups that you teach to aren't always on the same level. So your teaching strategies have to fluctuate, but still make the student rise above to the next level. So there's never any teaching down, there's just teaching to. It's very important that a special education teacher has patience and is calm. I've found throughout the years that I do talk fast, so I have to learn to slow down my speech cadence in order for children or teenagers, they're still children, or adult learners to process the information. So you can't rapid succession fire things at students. They need to be one at a time, one hurdle at a time, and going forward. Students also need to be involved in their own education. They need to be part of their education. Now, little ones, elementary school, and even middle school, it's sometimes hard to remember that they are their best advocate to tell you what they need. Sometimes they can't tell you, or they don't know how to tell you, but they'll show you as they go out, as they go through the day, as they're working, as you're talking to them. You have to be able to realize when they've stopped listening, when they just don't understand, or when they really look like they're listening to you and they have no idea what you're talking about because are over here, or they're over here, or they actually need to get up and go over here or over there. So special education teacher has to think inside the box as well as outside the box. Teach to the student as well as the group. And that's, once again, that falls into time management. sound judgment. I possess sound judgment, ethical behavior. I want my students and people around me to mirror what I'm doing. I certainly don't want to be unethical. I don't want to cause any issue or have the students mirror bad behaviors, because that's not for their good. So I want the students to be the best students and the best people, the best humans that they can be. So that means that I need to be above all of that. I have to show that I am ethical, and that I do make considerations to their feelings, to their choices, to their lifestyles, and then work with that. Never singling anyone out, never putting anything down, always being honest. Honesty is a very important part of teaching special education children. Most of these children are very black and white. There isn't gray in there. It's a yes or a no. It's the fundamental of the shades of gray aren't necessarily there. So honesty is always the key in making the children understand that they also need to be honest. When they don't know, or when they do know, or if something's really not working for them, or if they're just not having fun at learning, then speak up. Let's be honest. Let's together design and create an educational program that they can follow, that they enjoy following, that they want to come to school for. Creative learning, if you will. So also, a special education teacher and other teachers, it's very important to make a community with your students. So by doing that, to engage the students to be part of the school, maybe after school activities, in school activities, if there's a basketball game or a show or something that other students are putting on, have the students come, invite them, engage them to be part of the school so they have this sense of community, so they want to be at school, they want to learn, they want to be more part of the school, and it gives them more of a sense of self-worth. This also includes engaging their parents, siblings, and community members, having a broad reach of everyone that comes together for the students to create the community for education. So no one feels on the outside. Everyone feels that and knows that I, as the teacher, or other special education teachers, we want what's best for them. We want to help them grow and help them learn and instill a sense of, for lack of a better word, family. A family community in the school system. So a lot of students need different things, and I myself cannot look at one student and determine exactly what they need. Testing by either myself, the school psychologist, other professionals, other special education teachers, and then combining all of this information so that we have a very well-rounded view of the student, so we know how to teach to that student. So that's very important, that there's a community together that helps the student become the best student that they can possibly be. And not one person, not one teacher can do that. It has to be a combined effort of many different outside areas. Parents input, absolutely. They are with the child most often. They know things that we don't know. They see things that we do not see. Their input is very important. And it's also important to include the parents so they feel a sense of community with their child. And they look forward to sending their child to school, and they know that their child is being well taught. They know that their child is going to learn because we are focused and centered on the child, not on anything abstract or, that we're teaching a child, say that there's a child that's autistic, and we're teaching something that they cannot process because we're not appropriately presenting it to the child. So if we didn't have outside information to know that the child was autistic, then it's very difficult. So that's why a collective group, in order to learn what the child is all about, that's why we need the collective group. We also need to teach using data and information that has been proven methods of teaching. And on the flip side of that, we can also supplement with outside the box thinking, outside of the proven methods that are up and coming, that we're working on, expanding on, new ideas, new teacher ideas. All of these things combined are for the better of the good of the student. Now, the dispositions are not necessarily unique to each teacher. You must have a core set of dispositions in order to be an effective teacher. And also, every teacher has, and every individual has room to grow. I myself know that I'm a fast talker and I need to slow down, and I need to work on not giving multiple directions at the same time. I also need to work on, as I go through my studies, is mastering each and every subject that I'm going to teach. Now, that will come with time. Having a basic knowledge of the subjects is great, but mastering them is the key. And that comes with more education as I go through my master's program here. And that comes from outside learning, getting together with other professionals, getting together with other teachers, following what my mentor is directing me to do, taking advice from anywhere that you can get it, and bringing it all in to make a cohesive plan for your classroom for each student. So the one thing that special education teachers and other teachers cannot do is bring any kind of bias, whether it's racial, whether it is, anything, any kind of bias into the classroom, because then it stops you. It completely makes a roadblock. Your brain will think only to that point. It'll think, okay, A, B, and C, and then there's nothing after that, because you have a preconceived notion that, well, this child can't learn because of this. This child can't. Well, that is not true. Every child can learn. They just need to be taught the way they can learn. And it might take a little trial and error, but we'll get it. We will get the method that they understand in order for them to become the best learners they can. Whether it's they need time to move, whether they need quiet time, group activities, whether they learn best from each other. Many children learn better from each other than they do from a teacher. That collective learning, that group learning, where they're helping each other, they're pulling information from each other to come up with the correct answer. That's not cheating, that's just collective learning. And that's a very good way for children to learn, and a good way to teach them how to interact with each other, how to behave around each other, how not to disrupt each other, but how to gather information. It's brainstorming at every level. And that is an awesome thing to teach these children, because you need that later on in life. You'll be at your own employment, such as I am, and I need to brainstorm with other teachers, psychologists, anyone that's affecting in the child's life. That's how the information comes out. It's a flow of information, and you put it all together. Now, special education teachers' roles are they're a lot of roles, a lot of hats they wear. In the classroom setting, they must planning is the key. Don't go into your classroom with not a thought in your head and not a plan. I mean, maybe it's the littlest time that you can do that, but you have to have a plan in order for your classroom to properly and cohesively learn. Upholding professional expectations. That means that I myself, as well as other special education teachers, need to continue our education. We need to continue to learn, to grow, so we can pass that information along to the students so they can learn at their highest level. The goal is for the students to learn at the highest level they can learn at. Now, not every child will be at this level. Some will be higher, some will be the same, some might be lower, but it will be the highest level of that individual. That's the goal. I don't want to suppress anyone's learning. I want to give them all of the tools that they need so that they can expand their mind, they can expand and learn, and with learning, also they can help with, their inner self, their center self, their self-esteem, their growing. Children are constantly growing and testing limits and seeing what's happening out in the world, and it is very important not to stifle that growth. Advancing the profession is also very important. Being stagnant in whatever the day's teaching is, if we only went from today backwards, then no one can move forward. There are advancements happening every day. A teacher's, I might come up with something that no one has ever heard of before, and it's fabulous. So I'm going to offer whatever insight that I have. Two teachers together collaborating come up with a great idea for the classroom. Might work for one classroom, might not work for another classroom, but you're still going to collaborate and come up with that idea. You need everyone's brain power. The more brains, the more power, the better chance the student has at success. And that's the goal, student success. Teaching, growing, student success. So even for the younger ones, the middle ones, high school, having student success is also having them interact with each other in appropriate ways. The students are also responsible to make sure that their biases don't stifle their learning, that their biases aren't brought into the classroom. And if they are, then that needs to be addressed and stopped. We do not want to make anyone in the classroom feel bad, feel belittled, feel anything shameful. That is not any place in the classroom. The classroom is for learning and growing and sharing. That's what a classroom is, and a special education classroom even more so. So the expectations of the teacher are pretty high, but also the expectations for the children should be equally as high, individualized. So what that means is that promoting the student's ability to where it's at. Also promoting social justice, absolutely. Teaching the children equality, injustice, and standards that they should also follow. Not everyone comes equipped with that. Not every child, and especially children, they haven't thought of that, or since the center of the universe usually revolves around each and individual child, getting the children to see the picture as the bigger picture, the children, the group as a whole, promoting the group as well as promoting the individual is special education teachers' objective. It's one of them. That is their role, one of them. Absolutely. We want to improve upon the teaching aspect. And that means that we're just not going to do mundane every single day the same thing. It has to be thought out. It has to be a process. It has to be individualized so the students can learn. Now, they're also going to learn in a group. In the real world, group settings, not everything is individualized. But for the special education classroom, things have to be individualized and then cohesively brought into the group. So the teaching in a group setting as well as the individual setting is a fluid motion. It's a flow, and the students aren't disrupted by individual learning, and then there can be no cohesive group learning. That's hard, but it's workable, and that's something that I will work on as I'm going through. Also, it kind of helps that some of the dispositions that I personally hold is I can talk a lot and my judgment is pretty sound, and I know that each child can learn. That's what I know this. This is, no matter what, they can learn something. So I will find that something, and I will find the way that they can process the information so they can learn and they can grow. All students can learn. Maybe not at the same pace, but they can learn. So the roles of special education teachers, like I said, are vast. They support learning, they support justice, equality. They also collaboratively need to collaborate, get together, advance their own profession, advance the knowledge that they possess, share the knowledge, and then get rid of any preconceived notions, and then drop off things that don't work. If I'm using something and that I've learned and it's not working, then be honest with myself and the students and say, this isn't working. Get together with the students, engage the class and the students so they are part of their education, that they have the ability to input what they need or what they want or how they want to learn. It's not necessarily always that we're going to follow exactly what the students say. Sometimes these things can be grandiose and just not attainable, but having the students' input and always being honest with the student to where the direction that you're going is really the key. So that is an important aspect, the honesty to the students. So parents are fabulous. Engaging parents to help you help their children is an awesome way to collaborate and get information. Qualities. There are a lot of qualities of special education teachers. They show them every day that they go into school and they promote happiness, they promote education, and they promote community. I wouldn't want any bias that I have, wherever it's in the deep recesses of my brain or anything, to hinder anyone's education or to offend anyone. It is not what special education teachers and or myself is there for. We are there to teach. That is what I am there for. I am there to teach. Now, currently, I teach non-special education students, and I use the same methods. You implement the same things in order to teach your, we'll call them average students. No one's average. Everyone's exceptional in their own rights. Teaching is a fluid process. It's also an ongoing learning. It is very important that we use evidence-based instruction, but it's also very important to fluctuate and teach to the students' needs. I will work on slowing down, gaining more knowledge, interacting with my mentor more than I am now when I transition over to special education. I think I will rely on my mentor much more than I rely on him now. And the students, showing the students that I am there to help them. And I am there to help them help themselves. Not all of the students can articulate what they need, but they will show you. And it is very important that as a special education teacher, that I listen, that I look, that I watch them, that I see what's happening, that my observation skills are always in motion so I can guide and assist those that are either lagging or falling behind or just have stopped listening. Testing is a great way to see the baseline, to see what they've achieved, how much more they learn. But with special education, testing can be a little tricky depending upon what the child brings to the table, what they're working with or what they're not working with. So testing is not always the end-all be-all to what the child knows. It's that observation, it's watching them, it's the hands-on, it's them showing me what they can do and knowing. They might not be able to sit down and do a math paper, pen and paper, but they surely can show me how to do it in blocks. They can show me how to do it with in other forms, tactile forms, anything, touching, bringing things. It's not necessarily the old-fashioned way to teach is not the way to teach special education. So, and it's always evolving, and that is the key. Collaboration with other teachers so I can be the best teacher that I can be. I can gain all of the knowledge that I could possibly acquire in order for me to help the students. So the role of a special education teacher is vast. They wear a lot of hats. There's a lot of things between planning and collaborating and advancing the profession that we're in by collaboration, by learning, by obtaining more information. It is the special education teacher's role to uplift the student, to rise the student in order for them to learn at their highest level. That is the goal, that is the role. Community, creating a community with your students in the school will bring positive effects, will bring the families together with a common goal, with a common place to feel comfortable, to feel like they belong. If you feel like you belong somewhere, you're going to want to be there. You'll want to work hard to stay there. You'll want to work to make the community better. So there's a lot of work to be done in special education. There's a lot of education that I still have left. There's a lot for me to learn. I'll not stop learning. You can't. You have to continue your education. You can't become stagnant. It's for the children. It's to educate the children. It's to help them rise to the highest level of learning that they can possibly achieve. It's so they can show you and be excited to learn and be excited to go to school and want to be part of the community, want to help their peers, want to interact with their peers, and yet know that they're doing this themselves, that they are thinking, they are being creative, they are a good student, they are the best student that they can be. There's no negativity in the classroom. It just doesn't work. It's only positive reinforcement. Teaching is all about knowing that every child can learn, no matter what their disability or what their inability or what their different abilities are. And it's an ongoing process. As long as that I remember that I always need to learn more, I can learn from the students, and I give that back in a professional manner, ethical, confidential. There's no need to speak about students in the hallway where other students can hear, or where the student themselves can hear. That's not necessary. So ethical behavior for a special education teacher is also very, very important. I want the students to mirror my behavior so we all have good behavior, positive behavior, reinforcing behavior. In this way, that makes it easier to learn when everyone is on the same page that we're going to learn something. Each and every day we will learn a little bit more so we become the best that we possibly can be. Thank you for listening.